That one. So we're on Nun Haven Bays, and yesterday we spoke about the bulls and the rams and the goat and the sheep, how they were divided in the avoda, because on the regular, not only the regular mishmar, who came out his week, there is a mishmar that it came out to be his week, whatever it happened to be. That week that the Yontif fell out on was during a shift of a week, and that week does have the rights that every shift would have. But here, the regular, he doesn't have rights to the regular more than anybody else, and therefore everybody came and did the avoda of the kabbanis of the regular. That was yesterday's sugya. Now the Mishnah continues more of the same subject, but here it's talking about not the avoda that they're doing, but as far as getting a portion of what is divided. And the kabbanis, there are some kabbanis that are eaten, and they give it out to the kohanim. And the Mishnah is going to talk about that the kohanim of that mishmar are eligible to the kabbanis that are regular kabbanis, and the kabbanis of the regular, because they came with the chag, so then those are apportioned to everybody. All the kohanim have a right to get a portion of the kabbanis with the regular, not only in the avoda, the Mishnah before spoke about, but also in the apportioning, giving it out. In giving it out, there are two things to give out. One is, if anything, is the edible, there's food, the basar, the meat of the kabbanis, sometimes that is eaten, and also there's the oros, the skins. If there's a korban ola, so the whole thing goes on the mizbech, but the skin does not, and the skin is given out to the kohanim. And here it's going to say that the skins of the regular kabbanis go to the mishmar of the regular mishmar, and the skins of the animals that are yontif kabbanis, then it goes to all the kohanim. So that's how the Mishnah starts. 3 times a year, which means the shalosh regalim. Interesting term that the Mishnah uses. It could have said shalosh regalim, but it says 3 times a year, which means the shalosh regalim, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. All of the shifts are equal. All the shifts of the kohanim are equal as far as the rights of getting the emuri regalim, which means all whatever is supposed to be given out by the regular, which would mean both the basar, the meat of certain kabbanis, the chaz of a shok of the Shalmei Chagiga, Rashi says, and the skins of the Ola Sriya, anything that has to do with Yontif kabbanis. So everyone is equal in the division. Rashi, the Gemara is going to be bothered with the word emurim. Emurim usually means what goes on the mizbeach, and here we're not talking about what goes on the mizbeach. We're talking about what's given out to the kohanim. So the Gemara is going to have a problem. The Gemara is going to talk about this word emurim that has to be explained. But that's a general idea.
How would we explain it here?
You know the idea. We just don't know the idea. We don't understand, but we don't know the word. The idea means whatever is going to be given out to eat or to the skins. But how does it fit into the word? That we have to wait to the Gemara. That's a chiddush. The lechem aponim is divided every Shabbos. It was put the showbread. The lechem aponim was put onto the table on the shulchan in the Beis Hamikdash every Shabbos, and it was there the whole week. And then the following week they would take it off, and give it out to the kohanim. So here it says that all the kohanim, when it comes out Shabbos during the Yontif, so all of the kohanim get a right to get a piece of the lechem aponim, even though the has nothing to do with the regular. That's a big chiddush, because still we spoke about things that have to do with the regular. Lechem aponim is part of the weekly service, and it should only go lechora to the kohanim of that mishmah. But the Mishnah says no, that also is given out to everybody. Next point, Batzeres. On Shavuos is shtei lechem, and if it comes out Shavuos on Shabbos, so there are two things to give out. There's the shtei lechem, and there's also the lechem aponim. Everyone has a right to get both. And the chiddush of the Mishnah is going to be that you don't just give some kohanim lechem aponim, some kohanim shtei lechem, and say what's the difference? You got something. No, there's a din ein cholkin korban connected korban. You don't divide a korban for a korban. Everyone has a right to get a piece of each. Everyone has a right to get a piece of the shtei lechem. Everyone has a right to get a piece of the lechem aponim. And therefore, on Shavuos, when it comes out on Shabbos, omolo helach matzah helach chametz. The lechem aponim was matzah. When we think of matzah, it's a little bit misleading, because we think of matzah right away. It comes a picture of a crisp cracker. And that's not what matzah is. Matzah would look like a loaf, and the lechem aponim was matzah. Like it says, kol menachos bos matzah. All the meal offerings were made out of matzah. There's an exception of the shtei lechem was a chametz, but it also means that it says it was a tepach big. It was quite big. It wasn't like we're thinking of a cracker. So just to get that picture out, but it means that it's something which did not leaven. So when you give him the lechem aponim and the shtei lechem, so you tell him we're giving you a piece of both. Here's matzah, here is chametz. What is matzah? Matzah is another way of saying here's the lechem aponim, here is the shtei lechem. The shtei lechem is the chametz. That's what on Shavuos that's chametz. That's a chiddush. Even though usually kol menachos bos matzah, everything all menachos are usually matzah, but shtei lechem is an exception. So we tell him here is lechem aponim, here is shtei lechem. I'm not sure why the Mishnah emphasizes this is matzah, this is chametz, but I don't know the answer to that. But That's what the Mishnah means to say. We're telling him here's lechem upon him, and here is shtei lechem. The Gemara is going to have an issue about the order that we say. We give him first lechem upon him, and then we give him shtei lechem. That's going to be the sugi in the Gemara. But the Pashut Pshat is not concerned about that. Just that you give him both. As Rashi says, you can't give some lechem upon him and give some other kohanim shtei lechem. Everyone has a right to both of them. The Mishnah continues. Mishmar Shezmanu Kavua, the regular Mishmar that came out that week, who marked to medium and the Dorim and the Davos, for Shakov, and Satsibu, marked Vastakov. Whatever doesn't have to do with the regular, it goes to the regular Mishmar, even though it came out during the regular, all the kohanim are there, but the regular Mishmar has the right to do the regular Kabbanis. What are the regular Kabbanis? Tmidim, the Korban Talmud, Tamash Shachar, Tamash Ben Abayim, the Dorim and the Davos, any kind of voluntary Kabbanis that people vowed, even though the truth is that they hit the jackpot. The Mishmar that came out on the regular, people that have the whole year round, they've been making the Dorim and the Davos, so they have a chatas to bring, whatever it might be, so they don't bring in the middle of the year. Usually they wait till the older regular, and then during the Chol Hamoed, they're going to bring all of their Kabbanis. So you might say that's a little bit a korban of the regular because that's why people are coming now. But it's not true. It's nothing to do with the regular. It's just it's a coincidental, the incidental that they want to bring it now because they happen to be here. But the regular mishmar of that week gets the right to all the dam and the doubles. Also, any other korbanos tzibur that doesn't have to do with the regular, and also makabos hakol, which the Mishnah seems to be very redundant. It says the Moshe can ask what are these things coming to be marba. It says already it's tmidim, the dam and the doubles. What else is there? What else is there that is called korbanos tzibur that don't have to do with the regular? And what does it mean makabos hakol? It seems to be very redundant. The Gemara is going to find what the Mishnah is coming to add on. But the Mishnah in general, the point is, whatever has to do with the regular, everyone has a right to. Whatever doesn't have to do with the regular Mishnah has the right to it only. And it also throws in that lechem apanim is an exception, that even though it doesn't have to do with the regular, still everybody has a right to get a piece of it. It also says that when there's shtei lechem and lechem apanim, everyone has a right to get both of them. And we tell each person that you're getting a piece of both. Here's a piece of lechem apanim, here's a piece of the shtei lechem. If that's good, we go on to the Gemara. And the first question is, what does Emurim mean? Emurim usually means things that go on the Mizbeach. Emurim regalim shel gavloninu. The Emurim
excuse me.
Yes, please.
I have a question just when it says for you there's matzah, for you there's the bread. It seemed, when I first read it, I thought it meant like you, this Cohen, you'll get matzah, and you Cohen, you'll get the lechem. So how do you know that it doesn't mean that?
It means opposite. It means opposite.
Yeah, how do you know that? That's what I'm asking.
Well, it says
just from the Gemara.
It says, hey, look, it says, here is Maaseh, here is Chametz. You say to him, and you say to him, here's Maaseh, here is Chametz.
How do you know that to him the other guy isn't a different guy?
Because it's one person. You're telling him both things to one person.
You say to him. I see, because it says Omer Lo.
Right.
Not Omer Lehem. Omer Lo. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And the Rashi also brings down, just to point out that there's a din someplace else where it says, where's the Rashi over here? He brings here, Ein Cholkin Korban Kineged Korban. That you don't divide a korban for a korban. He said, means like one Kedushin Dafnan Gimel, everybody has a right to each korban. Okay. So that's the Mishnah. The Gemara has the kasha, what is a murim? A murim usually means what goes on the Mizbeach. A murim,
you don't need to
right? And here it says you can bring it out to the Kohen. And more it goes to Hashem. So what is he giving it out? Why giving it out? Here it doesn't mean what it usually means. Usually a murim means what goes on the Mizbeach. Here it means whatever is said. The word a murim means whatever is said. Whatever is said on the regalim means the kabbanas of the regalim. So don't take it like the regular word a murim. The truth is, the question, what does the word emurim usually mean? Whenever we say emurim, what is the translation of the word emurim? Some also say that it means masha amor, whatever is said, but not a regalim, masha amor, to go on the mizbeach. Usually the word emurim means whatever is supposed to go on the mizbeach. There's another pshat in the word emurim. Usually, some say that it means to do with exalted, like the word Hashem Hamircha Yom, Hashem Hamarta Yom. The word emir, even in English, emirate, that it means something high. You have the pasuk also.
You just said in last week's in the speech, Pashi Amir.
Yes, Hashem Amarta, Hashem Amircha. That word also. So we're saying the romain, to elevate, to some. There's also to point out that in the piyutim coming up on Rosh Hashanah Kippur, Imrul Elokim. One of the piyutim is a long piyut, Imrul Elokim. So the simple pshat is say to Hashem, but some do translate it like Romamu Hashem. It also means to elevate. Okay, so here the word emurim means that which is said, and it is going to the Kohanim, and that's understood from the Mishnah, where that's different pshat in the word. And the Gemara explains that the word emurim here means masha amor, whatever is said.
That is designated for the Kohanim.
For the regular. Masha amor.
For the Kohanim at the regular.
Yes. Tanu Rabbanan. Now the Gemara wants to know the drasha for all this. So just to point out that we had 2 points. The top of the page, which the Gemara didn't talk about drashas, but now it seems to be talking about that also. The top of the page spoke about the avoda of the components of the regular go to everybody. All the kohanim are equal. And the bottom of the page, second mission, the base mission, spoke about whatever you're giving out, the skins or the basar, that it goes to all the kohanim. Since it's a yontif korban, it's not limited to the mishmar of that week, but it goes to all the kohanim. So we spoke about 2 things. We spoke about the avoda, and we spoke about a portion, the food and things. So now the Gemara is going to be the drasha. How do you know that everybody is equal as far as the kabbanis of the regular? The pasuk is not, it's a vague pasuk in the Torah, and it seems like it says that the Levi, there's someone a Levi, that the Levi can come whenever he wants to, whenever he desires, and he could serve. Some
Maybe once then he can serve.
he could
Maybe
serve.
it's
He could serve in the Beis Hamikdash. So the Rashi says that even though it says Levi, it's talking about the Kohen. Rashi says that sometimes 24 places in the Torah says Levi, it means Kohen, because Kohen's from Shevet Levi also. And it says he can serve whenever he wants. The Meforshim seem to say that the simple pshat in the pasuk might be saying that even though there are mishmoros, that it's divided into 24 shifts. If a Kohen is coming to bring his own korban, any time of the year he's allowed to do his own service. That might be the pasuk pshat. But the Gemara is not going to say that. The Gemara says that he comes whenever he wants. Any Kohen can come whenever he wants to do the service, even though they are mishmoros. You might think that it's all year round also, that the Kohen can come whenever he wants. The pasuk says if he comes from one of your cities. The whole Am Yisrael comes into one city. So there's a drash. Of course, it's a drash, not Pashup Pshat. But when it's the Pashup Pshat is talking about, he comes from one of the cities. If he comes from any city, from where he comes from, but the word is dashing not from, but to, that he's coming to the one city. When everybody comes to the one city, who's that? Yerushalayim. When everybody during the regular, everyone comes to be all the regular. Everybody's in the same in one city. That's when every Kohen has the right to come. So that's the drash to say that any Kohen can do the avoda. So just to point out that even though Amish is talking about not the avoda, it's talking about the portioning, giving it out, everybody has a right to get a piece. That's a after point after our Gemara. Our Gemara talks about the avoda, which is really the top of the page, that everyone has a right to do the avoda. And Rashi brings the pasuk, which the Gemara is going to bring soon. That's right now, but the Gemara is going to say it soon. The pasuk says, Rashi's one line up from the bottom. La kohen hamakriv lo siyeh. The kohen who does the avoda has a right to get it. So when you're talking about apportioning to give the meat or the skins, the hides to the kohen, so it says in the pasuk, whoever does the avoda has the right to get it. So if anybody has the right to do the avoda, so also apportioning is also going to go to all the kohanim. So you have the Gemara here talks about the din of the avoda, and it says on the regalim, any kohen has the right to do the avoda, and Rashi adds on to that, and so too, if they have the right to do the avoda, they're also going to get the portion of it, of the meat.
Their hands are on, they're on the border, so it's fitting that they should get it.
You need a pasuk. You need a pasuk. Rashi says, "La kohen." What's the pasuk again? La kohen. Hamakrivosa lo siyeh. I think it's part. I think it's a pasuk. I think that it's a pasuk in Parshas Tzav, and the pasuk shot might mean the kohen who personally did the avoda. But the Gemara says it doesn't mean that. It means any kohen who is roy to do the avoda, so he also has a right to get a chelik in it. So as far as Yontif, everyone has a right to do the avoda, everyone gets a chelik. The Mishnah before spoke about doing the avoda of the Purim, Elam, Kvasim, etc. And this Mishnah talks about getting a chelik of the Murei Regalim and also the Lechem Apanim, which is a chiddush, but that's the next Gemara now about the Lechem Apanim. So far we know that whatever has to do with the regular, any Kohen can do the avoda, any Kohen gets a portion. Now the chiddush is Lechem Apanim. Lechem Apanim has nothing to do with the regular. It's a regular weekly Shabbos. They give out the Lechem Apanim. So here it says that everyone also gets a part of Lechem Apanim. That needs a special drasha. From where do we know that all the shifts have a right to get a piece of the Lechem Apanim?
Those are the 2 shmos of that day, remember? The incoming and the outgoing.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about everybody. All the 24 have a right to get from the Lechem Apanim that comes out Yom Tov Shabbos. The Shabbos is also a Yom Tov. Everyone gets Lechem Apanim. And that the mishmaros of that week are not special. Even though usually it's only the mishmaros of that week. But here it says that on Yom Tov of Shabbos, everyone gets. So the Gemara says it Rash. On top of Daf Nun Vav, Talmud Loma, Chelek, Chelek, Chelek. That the pasuk over there, similar, right next to the pasuk where it says before, that anybody could come, any Kohen could come and do the avodah whenever he wants, which we just said is talking about on the Chagim. Now it says everybody gets a chelek. Anybody gets a chelek. Everybody gets a chelek. And the Gemara is chelek avodah chelek achila. just like the service, also the eating. Eating means to get a portion to be able to eat it. So it has the same din as avoda. What does that mean? That you also have a right to eat it. Not only does it say before b'shereis, that's what we said till now, that you have a right to do the avoda. Also, you have a right to eat it also. So Rashi already educated us that if you get the avoda, you also get to eat it. That's the pasuk Rashi brought. Here's the way the Gemara says now. The Gemara says this is another pasuk to say that you have a right to eat it. Which eating is the pasuk coming to say that you have a right to eat it on the Yom Tov? Everyone gets a right to get a portion on the Chag. Which eating is the pasuk referring to? Either kavanas, if it's the kavanas that you have a right to do the avoda for, mastam nafka. This is the pasuk Rashi brought. The kohen who does the avoda, he gets to eat it. So if it's a korban, which we already said that all the kohen do the avoda on the Chag, so they also eat it. They don't need another pasuk to say chelak chelak chelu. They also have a right to eat it. We know already a kohen that does the avoda has the right to eat it also. So what rush are we going to learn out of this pasuk that the kohenim on the Chag also have a right to eat? It must be something that is no avoda. Ella lechem apanim. It's only talking about the lechem apanim, that even though there is no avoda, Rashi points out there's no avoda to do because the avoda was done last week. The avoda, putting the lechem onto the table, was done the previous week, and now you're just taking it off. Place talks about the bazichan, that's a side point, but it's considered an avoda which has nothing besides eating. Now he just eating. So the pasuk is coming to be marba, even if there's no avoda to be done, and they have no right to come and say, since I did the avoda, let me eat it also, because there was no avoda to do. So you have to have a pasuk to say they also have a right to that also. It's a kind of a food which has no avoda. So it says that they have a right to get the lechem upon them also. You might think they have a right to get the karbanos to eat also if it has nothing to do with the regel. That's the pasuk over there. That besides, the Marzashing Karov means whatever was sold. Whatever was sold by the fathers. Who are the fathers? It means the fathers of the Mishmoros. The heads of the 24 Mishmoros, the forefathers of those Mishmoros. So they made an arrangement between them that we're not all going to come 1 week. It's going to be each week there's going to be another shift, and they divided it into 24. It's a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim. David HaMelech, they divided it. Maybe it talks about even earlier than David HaMelech. I'm not sure, but they divided it into 24. It could have been originally maybe divided into less divisions, but the pasuk in Divrei Hayamim, Perek 24, talks about the 24 Mishmoros. So they made a division between themselves, they made an arrangement that 1 week I will do avoda, the other week you're going to do avoda. So the pasuk refers to that. Besides what the fathers sold to each other. What did the fathers of the Mishmor sell to each other? I'll work on my week, and you don't have anything to do with that. And you work on your week, and I won't have anything to do with that. So that's the regular din of the Mishmoros that divide into 24 shifts, and that everybody is only on their shift. But then the pasuk says that there's times that is an exception, and that's going to be the Chag. During the Chag, everyone can do the avoda on the avodos of the Yom Tov, and also they're allowed to eat it also because the pasuk says and then there's another pasuk to say they have a right to eat also, but we know they have a right to eat. Whenever they have a right to do the avoda, they have a right to eat also. So it's come to be marber, a kind of a eating that has no avoda, and that is the lechem upon So they also have a right to the lechem upon them also. That's what
it's quite amazing that what happens on Yom Tov when they machalik the lechem upon him, there's thousands of kohanim everywhere. How much can they get?
So that's the
loaves of
so that's the why do you say 2? We're talking about
lechem apanim is 2 loaves.
Lechem apanim is 12.
Oh, it's a Shabbat. It's like
lechem apanim is 12.
There's that many kohanim.
So okay, so there's a Gemara in Pesachim where it talks about Yigyani Kippur, Yigyani Kizanav Alatar. That sometimes they only got a little bit, and the Gemara does also talk about that sometimes when there was bracha, there's a Shimon Tzadik. So it says that everyone would get a small piece even, and everyone would be satisfied, even had leftover. There was bracha, and when there was no bracha, so then they didn't get to them. Not everybody got, and it wasn't satisfying. So that depends with the bracha. There's a snu moshel mishidayim that some people nothing with the hand. They held back. That means that some people didn't take because they weren't going to get a kazayis anyway, and it wasn't satisfying. So it says that snu moshel mishidayim that some people would not take already. But when there was bracha, so then everybody got a piece, and even had leftovers also. There was bracha and a lechem upon.
So the word shavti is like shift.
What is that?
Shavti is like shift. My shift and my shift.
Shabbati. He's saying that the word could be a play on the word that has to do with a shift. Shabbat and a shift. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit like אני לעצמי, כאילו.
No, it means, but taking turns. It's going to be separate mishmoros that was organized. That also the Kohanim also they couldn't be in Yerushalayim every week. So they made an arrangement that there was 24 shifts, and once, let's say twice a year, the Kohanim would come for a week to do the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. And now it says on the regular, everybody came, and everyone's allowed to do the avodah, and everyone gets a chelik of the portioning, whatever they're giving out for the Chag, plus a piece of the lechem apanim. Everyone has lechem apanim of that Shabbos.
Would both shifts of Kohanim receive from the Lechem Apanim on a regular Shabbos?
We're going to talk about it soon. So far, we didn't talk about it because we spoke about on Yontif, and Yontif everybody's equal. There's no yichus about the lechem apanim to the shifts of that week. But the Gemara will talk about it eventually. The Gemara says, the Mishnah said, "Batzer Samolo Helach Chometz, Helach Matzah, Helach Chometz." So we said that when it comes on Shavuos they have Shtei Lechem, and everyone has the right to get a piece of Shtei Lechem because it's the Yontif Korban. And we said when it comes out on Shabbos, they have the right to both the Lechem Apanim and the Shtei Lechem. Everyone has the right to both. And we told them this is Lechem Apanim and this is Shtei Lechem, and the Mishnah calls it Chometz Matzah and Chometz. Matzah is the Lechem Apanim, Chometz is the Shtei Lechem. The issue of the Gemara is going to be the order. A very, very big issue about the order. Which one did they say first? It says that they said the matzah first. It means the lechem apanim went first. And that's going to be the Gemara's issue. It starts off with a side issue. The side issue happens to be very much our subject because it's going to talk about the bracha of Leisha Basukah and Shechianu, which is very much our subject. We didn't talk about it yet. But really it comes in as a side issue, so to speak, about our Mishnah that Agab spoke about, that you give him the lechem apanim before you give the shtei lechem. So the Gemara is starting now. We'll call it left field. It happens to be very much center field over here because it's talking about Sukkah and Shechianu, but we're starting a Sukkah has nothing to do with our Mishnah. Itma, we learned. You have two brachas to say when you come into the Sukkah, the first night of Sukkah. So you have Leisha Basukah and you have Shechianu. Which goes first? So Rav says Leisha Basukah goes first and then Shechianu. Rav Bachana says Shechianu goes first and then Leisha Basukah. What's the reasons for each one? The Gemara is going to say it's for each one. Because the obligation of the day, the mitzvah of Sukkah goes first before Shechianu. So he says Leisha Basukah, and then he says Shechianu. Rabbi Chana Omar, Zman V'Achar Sukkah, because the that Shechianu was more of a usual bracha. You say by all the regalim, many more opportunities to say Shechianu than Leisha Basukah. So you have these two brachas to say. So it says that Shechianu should go first, then you say Leisha Basukah. First, the Gemara tries to find correlation in this machlokis to a machlokis b'shamai b'yisrael, which we're all familiar with. We had it already 2 times. We had it in brachas and psachim, and this is the final time, according to the side that's in Shas only 3 times, and this is the final time. For the rest of the Shas, the crews we can have, we're not going to find it anymore. We had it in brachas and psachim, and now in sukkah. And talks about machlokis b'shamai b'yisrael by kiddush. What's the order of kiddush? Do you say Bar Piyagafen and then the bracha of kiddush like we do every Shabbos, or do you say first the bracha mekadosh Shabbos and then you say Bar Piyagafen? That's machlokes b'shamai b'yisrael. We do, of course, like b'shamai, like b'yisrael, that we say Bar Piyagafen first. But the Gemara is going to bring down this machlokes, and it seems to be the same machlokes as Rabba and Rabba Chana. Here's the Gemara.
Same reasoning.
Same reasoning. Tada v'shein tada means the Bar Piyagafen, and the chayuv b'diyoma would be mekadosh Shabbos. So it seems to be a machlokes. And if you pass like b'yisrael, Bar Piyagafen goes first. That sounds like tadir, and that should be you should say Shechianu before Leisha Basukah. That's how the Gemara is going to try to compare the two sugis. So the Gemara starts one line before it spreads. It seems the argument in the same machlokes as Beishamai and Beisila. The Tanur Rabbana, it's also a Mishnah, but the Brisa is going to say the reasons also. This is in the 8th parak of Shabbos. The following things are the machlokes between Beishamai and Beisila as far as Hilchos Suda goes. And the first one is, how do you say Kiddush? Beishamai yom mevarach al hayom v'achach mevarach al hayayin, or Beisila yom mevarach al hayayin v'achach mevarach al hayom. When you say Kiddush, you have to say the bracha mekadosh Shabbos or whatever Yontif, whatever it is, and you also have to say Bar Piyagafen. Which one goes first? Beishamai says first the bracha on the day, call it mekadosh Shabbos, and then al hayayin Bar Piyagafen. And Beisila says no. What do we do? First you say Bar Piyagafen, and then you say bracha mekadosh Shabbos. Beishamai now says reasons. Beishamai is going to say 2 reasons. Beisila is going to say 2 reasons. First of all, Shayom Gorn Layayin Sheyavah. Why are you saying Bar Piyagafen over here? Only because it's Shabbos, because you want to say Kiddush. So the day is causing the wine to come. So the day has more chashivus. Means what's everything based on over here? Why are you doing this? Going means causes. The day causes the wine to come. The reason why you have wine here is because of the day, because you have to say Kiddush.
You want to say Beishamai Tzelem, but because of your Iked days, what you're celebrating the yain is
He doesn't seem to say that. He seems to say he says that the day is causing the wine to come. The reason why you ask him why you have wine now, you have cup of wine
Yeah,
because it's
Shavuos.
after say Kiddush. So the Kiddush, the day is the thing that's causing the wine to come. That's why the chashivos, the significant thing here is the day. Another reason of Beishamai, reason number 2, chronologically, what's the order how the things came over here? First, Shabbos came, it came nightfall, and then you brought out the wine to the table. This might be different if you make early Shabbos. Maybe the wine comes before the night comes. But we're talking about the regular case that first it falls night, comes Shabbos, and then you bring out the wine. So in the order of the two issues, the day of Shabbos came before the wine came. So therefore, you should say first Mekadosh Shabbos, even though now both of them are in front of you on the table. It's Shabbos and this wine, but the order that it came was first the day and then the wine. So say first Mekadosh Shabbos and then say Bar Pri Hagafen. That was two reasons of Beishamai. Now Beisil also the chronological order of how they appear, how they came into your life. First Shabbos came
into
and
you before you had wine in front of you.
Right,
The day
right.
itself came in.
right. That was two reasons of Beishamai. Now Beisil is also going to have two reasons. Beisil Omrim, the Baruch Halayim, Baruch Halayom. First say Bar Pri Hagafen and then say Mekadosh Shabbos. First of all, Shayayin, Gorei, Lekidusha, Shetei Omer. Why are you saying Kiddush? Because there's wine. If there wouldn't be any wine, you wouldn't be saying Kiddush. Before Beishamai says, why are you saying Kiddush? Why you bring the wine? Because of the day. Because Hillel's twisting it the other way. That the only reason he's saying Kiddush is because there's wine over here. If there wouldn't be wine, you wouldn't be able to say Kiddush. So that's the reason why the wine goes first. A second reason of Beis Hillel, the bracha Bar Pri Hagafen is more usual than Mekadosh Shabbos. During the week also, if you want to say Bar Pri Hagafen, you also want to drink wine. So the
Yes,
bracha
but
on
there's
wine
no Kedusha.
doesn't make a difference. It's a regular Bar Pri Hagafen. So
Excuse
therefore,
me. In the first reason of Beis Hillel would be that the wine is causing the sanctification.
is causing the Kiddush to be said. The reason why he's saying Kiddush is
The
only because
wine is causing the Kiddush to be
to
said,
be said.
not the sanctification of the Shabbos.
Not the sanctification, no. The Kiddush, the Kiddush, to say this blessing. The blessing of
We
Kiddush
can't
is
say it unless we have wine, is the idea,
right.
right?
Rashi has a kasha that if you have bread also, you can say it on bread. So Rashi says, okay, so then the bread is causing the Kiddush, so say on the bread first, say Amosi, and then say Mekadosh Shabbos. So those are the two reasons of Beis Hillel. So the Gemara thinks that it sees over here Machlokes. Beis Hillel says openly, Tadav Shen and Tadav Kodem. That sounds like Rabbi Baba Chana, that Shechianu goes first because it's more Tadir. Beis Hillel doesn't, Beishamai doesn't say mamish the words about Chovos Hayom Adifa. It doesn't say that Shabbos, the fact that it's the obligation of the day overrides the Tadir. It doesn't say those words, but the Gemara seems to say that it's included in Beishamai, that's his reason. And therefore, the Gemara thinks that the Machlokes Rabbah and Rabba Baba Chana is dependent on Machlokes Beishamai and Beis Hillel. Lema, Rav, the Amaki Beishamai, Rabba Baba Chana, the Amaki Beis Hillel. If we're going to say that it's dependent on this Machlokes, so then Rav comes like Beishamai, that he's the one who says Tadir. I'm sorry, Rav is the one who says Sukkah goes first. So he holds that the Chovos Hayom has preference over Tadir, and Rabba Baba Chana seems better off. He holds like Beis Hillel, that Tadir overrides, and therefore you say Bar Pri Hagafen first, and in our case you're going to say Shechianu first because it's more Tadir. So that's not good for Rav. If Rav only goes like Beishamai, but the Gemara is going to say now that it's not dependent, and it's going to go both ways. The Gemara is going to say Rav can say I hold like Beis Hillel, and Rabbi Chana can say I hold like Beishamai. It's not dependent on the Machlokes we just said. Amalacha Rav, just move it a little bit. Amalacha Rav. I who say Sukkah goes before Shechianu, I can hold like Beis Hillel that says Bar Pri Hagafen goes before Kiddush. So really he's focusing on the other reason of his. Beis Hillel said two reasons. The second reason was Tadir, and that sounds like against Rav. Rav says Tadir is not such a chashav thing over here because you have Yuva the Yom on the other side. But what Rav's answering is that it's really Beis Hillel's other reason that he means over here, that the reason why he's saying Kiddush is because the wine is here. That's the reason why the wine goes first. Not because of Tadir. Beis Hillel does say Tadir. So Rashi says that you need both reasons together. Taisa says that maybe I don't agree with the Beis Hillel in his reasoning, but the halacha, I can still agree to his halacha because the other reason, not the reason of Tadir. Tadir is not so chashav if it comes about against Yuva the Yom. But the other reason that
the wine's on the table in front of me.
that the wine is causing the Kiddush to be said. Without wine, you wouldn't say Kiddush. So over there, that's the reason why wine goes first. But over here,
I'm sorry. Yeah, over here, but I'm missing the Aval Chacha.
Avagacha, he loves man, Milo Amina Sukkah. If you wouldn't have Shechianu, who did not say Leisha Basukah, you don't have that the logic you have over there that the wine is causing the Kiddush to be said. You don't have over here that the Shechianu is causing the Sukkah to be said. It doesn't make sense over here. So therefore, Tadir wins. In other words, even though Beis Hillel said two reasons, we're only going with the other reason the first reason that he said that the chashivas of wine before kiddush is because the wine is causing the kiddush to be said. But over here, that you don't have that reason. That reason doesn't apply. The shechianu is not causing the sukkah to be said. So therefore, the tadir wins, and we're going to say leisha b'sukkah before shechianu. That was to explain how Rav could fit with Beis Hillel. And now the Gemara goes opposite also. Rabbi Babachana, even though he's pretty safe, he holds like Beis Hillel, but he can even hold up Beis Shammai. It's not dependent at all. Rabbi Babachana, Amalach, I know that if you look at Beis Shammai, I can hold up Beis Shammai that by, even though I say over here that Shechianu goes first because of Tadir, I could agree to Beis Shammai that by Kiddush, the bracha of Shabbos goes before Bar Piyah Gofen. Means he has other reasons over there against the Tadir, because the reason why he's saying Bar Piyah Gofen, the reason why he's saying Kiddush is because of the day. The day is the reason why he's saying Bar Piyah Gofen, so the day goes first. That's far wouldn't apply over here because it does, the sukkah doesn't cause the shechianu to be said. As Rashi explains, that even if you have no sukkah, also you say shechianu, because besides the shechianu on the sukkah, there's a shechianu on the day. The day is a shechianu you say on the yontif, even if it wouldn't be in the same sukkah. So therefore, it's not dependent. So the Gemara brought down Machlokes B'Shammai Beis Hillel as far as Kiddush, which goes first, the Bar Piyah Gofen or the Kaddish Shabbos, Machlokes B'Shammai Beis Hillel, but the Gemara says that it's not dependent on our issue. Back to our issue. Machlokes by Sukkah and Shechianu, which goes first. Rav says that Sukkah goes first because the Chova of the day precedes the Shechianu, even though it's Tadir. And Rabbi Babachana said Tadir Shem Tadir Tadir Kodem, that the Tadir overrides. And now the Gemara comes back to our issue, back made a full circle. Now it's going to go on to our Mishnah, top line on the screen, to bring our Mishnah by when you have Shavuos, you're giving out Shtei Lechem and Lechem upon him. Which one do you give first? And the Mishnah says that you give the matzah, you give the Lechem upon him first because it's Tadir. It seems to be like Rabbi Babachana, that Tadir overrides. On one hand, we're going to say that Shavuos, the Shtei Lechem, is more Chovos Hayom. It happens to be Shabbos today also, but Rashi points out that it's really last week's bread. The bread you get this week is last week's bread. So the Chovos Hayom is Shavuos. If you have Shtei Lechem and Lechem upon him, the Chovos Hayom is the Shtei Lechem, and it is true Lechem upon him Tadir Hashem, the Tadir Kodem. So it seems to be the Machlokes, and the Machlokes, which one goes first, will be a Machlokes Rav and Rabbi Babachana, and our Mishnah says that Lechem upon him goes first. So Rabbi Babachana is right. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, but Sarah Somal Lo Helach Matzah Lechametz. We tell each Kohen, here is Matzah, Lechem upon him, and here is Chametz, Shtei Lechem. And that's the order you tell them. The Chametz Seko Matzah Tafel. In this case, the Chametz, the Shtei Lechem is more primary because it's Shavuos. And the matzah, the lechem upon him is tafel. It's only secondary because, as Rashi says, it's not the main issue today that it's Shabbos because this is really last week's Shabbos. Last Shabbos is good. And still, there wins. And you see that the matzah goes first, which is the lechem upon him. So you see there overrides Chovos Hayom. Tifta the Rav. This is a kasha on Rav. Rav Tano. He said, Rav agrees. You're right. Our Mishnah is against me. The Mishnah is against me. But it happens to be this is machlokes, and I'm going to hold like the Tana that argues in our Mishnah. Tanoi is machlokes Tanam. This Mishnah about you tell him first lechem upon him with the Yisei Shtei Lechem. The Tanya Helach Mas Helach Chametz. That's the same as our Mishnah. That first you give out the lechem upon him. But Abba Shaul Omer Helach Chametz Helach Matzah. Oh, Mamish the opposite. Abba Shaul says first you give him the Shtei Lechem, then you give him the lechem upon him. Mamish the machlokes. So the machlokes of which has precedence, the Tadir or the Chovos Hayom is machlokes Rav and Rabbi Babachana. But we found it to go back to machlokes Tanam. And you'll have the machlokes in both issues. If you hold that you say in our Mishnah that the Tadir goes first, so then you're going to say Shechianu first by us. And if you hold that you say the Lechem upon him goes first, so then by us you're going to say that the I forgot what I said this now, but if you hold Tadir, then the Shechianu goes first. Who do we pass like? Not again, not like Rav. You don't say Tadir. You go like our Mishnah. I'm sorry. Not like Rav that says that the Chovos Hayom goes first. You do like our Mishnah that the Shechianu goes first. That the Tadir V'Shem Tadir goes first. But Rav Sheshes, Ray Ravidi argues and he says no. Sukkah V'Yachkas Man. That he does pass like Rav that Leisha V'Sukkah goes before the Shechianu because you don't go with the Tadir. You go with the one which is more Chovos Hayom. Elchasa, here's the Gemara comes to Paskin. Sukkah V'Yachkas Man. That on Kiddush, the first night of Yontif, first you say Leisha B'Sukkah, then you say Shechianu. And that's not halacha. First goes Leisha B'Sukkah, then goes Shechianu. In the Chutz La'aretz, the Gemara doesn't talk about it, but it happens.
Meaning the Yom. Sukkah is the Shivas of today.
Leisha, right, Chovos Hayom, and therefore Leisha B'Sukkah goes before Shechianu. Even though Shechianu is more Tadir, still the Sukkah goes first.
I'm getting confused why Shechianu is the issue, not the Kiddush of wine.
We're not talking about wine. That came in just that we thought that it's going to be the same thing about Bisham Vizilla, but we rejected that as no shachris to us. We're talking about Leisha Basukah and Shachiyanu.
So what's I mean, Shechiana can go.
Shachiyanu is the Tadir. Shachiyanu is the more usual, and Sukkah is the issue of the day. Sukkah is the Chovos Hayom, and the Shachiyanu was a bracha they say in all the regalim and all the mitzvahs, and therefore it's called Tadir. It's Tadir. Tadir V'Shem Tadir. But we pass it not like that, even though there is the issue of Tadir, but Chovos Hayom overrides that, and therefore Leisha Basukah goes before Shachiyanu.
He says about the
So in Chus Laretz and Shulchan Aruch, they brought down a shita, the Rosh, that says in Chus Laretz, the second day difference. If you remember anybody from Chus Laretz, that the first day and the second day there's a change. That in Shulchan Aruch it says the second day you say Shachiyanu first, and then Sukkah. He says because he said already the bracha. He says a whole different lumdus that the Shachiyanu has to go on the mitzvah of Sukkah the first night. So that's why you say Sukkah and then Shachiyanu. That the Shachiyanu should be going on the Sukkah, but the second night you made a Shachiyanu already. So the first night, so then you can say Shachiyanu first and then Leisha Basukah. It says like that in Shulchan Aruch. It doesn't. I don't see how it fits with our Gemara. In the Bishop brings down those that argue on the Rosh, and that's all we get the Chus Laretz on the second night. The second night. You say every time in Chus Laretz you say Shachiyanu always. The second night. Yeah, in Rosh Hashanah also we're going to be saying Shachiyanu the second day. There's a question more by Rosh Hashanah because maybe it's a Yom HaRichter. It's a question. That's why they bring a fruit on the second night to have a Shachiyanu on something. But in the Chus Laretz on a regular Yom Tov Sheni, they always say Shachiyanu the second night. And the Rosh says that over there you could say the Shachiyanu first and then the Leisha Basukah, and others argue on that. But that's not Baruch Hashem is not a get to us. We're in Eretz Yisrael, and you only have one time in the beginning you say Shachiyanu, Leisha Basukah, and then Shachiyanu.
Pesach, the second days we don't say Shachiyanu.
No, that right. You don't want the second day is the last day. The second day, no, you don't say Shachiyanu because it's one long Chag. But in the first, in Chus Laretz, you say Shachiyanu the first night of Pesach, and again the second night of Pesach, and also Shavuos, and also Sukkot. You say the 2 days. But in Eretz Yisrael, it's only one day, the way it's supposed to be, and only the first day of Shachiyanu.
That's really do. They switch it in.
And those who go like the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah brings down those that argue, but there is, I think, that it's pretty popular that the first night and the second night.
So
Okay.
generally here in Eretz Yisrael, we would say Leisha Basukah and then Shachiyanu, right?
Leisha Basukah and then Shachiyanu. That's the halacha.
And in terms of this, the chametz represented the shtei lechem, is that correct? And what did the
Yeah.
matzah represent?
Lechem apanim.
Lechem apanim, thank you.
Rebbe,
Yes,
one
please.
of the topics that's discussed here is that actually you say Shechianu only once on each Chag, and Leishev you can say 1,000,000 times. And one of the answers given to it though is that you're not actually mechuyev to. You could stay in your sukkah the whole time from beginning to end and only say one Leishev, but in practice, in principle, is quite different.
The sukkah we had the sukkah before that if you had Hesach Hadas, you have to Leisha Basukah each time. We had the sukkah before Shachiyanu. The Chag comes in, so it's only one Shachiyanu. That no reason to say Shachiyanu many times. But as far as Leisha Basukah, so that's a sukkah before. We had Hesach Hadas. The same thing we pass by Tefillin. We pass you make a bracha each time there's Hesach Hadas. You make a bracha.
No, but in the comparison, it's comparing it also that you say Shechianu once every regal when it's bringing up Tadr.
For
So
sure.
it's not just for Sukkot, it's for how many times a year do you say Shechianu as compared to how many Leishev do you say?
Yes, good. Mishmar, we're not going to say that. And now I understand you're saying that Leisha Basukah could be that if you add up all the Leisha Basukahs you said, it could be like you'll say more than the Shachyanus you said in the course of the year. Okay. Next point. Mishmar Shazman Kavua. So it says that Mishmar, that it's his week. Then he gets everything that does not have to do with the regular. Everything has to do with the regular, everybody's equal. Whatever does not have to do with the regular, so then the Mishmar that it fell out, his week, so he gets it all. And over there, the Mishnah said a few things. It says Tmidim, Dam and Davos, and then it says Shakavanas and Sibor, and then it says Bumakar Vesakol. So it repeats it again and again that they get everything that doesn't have to do with the Chag. What is that referring to? We said already Tmidim, and we said the Dam and Davos. What else is there? So Lasui Mai, what does it mean? And the other Kavanas Sibor. The wife finds things. If there was another carbon that happened to come out during the regular, for instance, that the whole Am Yisrael did an Avera, that the Chayiv carbon Paralim Dover. That's if the Sanhedrin made a mistake and everyone did a Chayiv Chatas, a Chayiv Korban by mistake, so they bring a communal carbon sin offering. So that could have happened on the regular also. It has nothing to do with the regular. So then it's who's going to be doing that avoda? or who's going to be getting the, if it's Ethan, so then it's going to also be the Mishmar of that week. And Tzir Avodah Zarah is a similar thing, that Am Yisrael made a mistake and they did a communal Avodah Zarah. They didn't realize something is considered an Avodah Zarah. So also a similar thing, it's called, also a kind of a communal sin offering. Also it goes to it's the issue of the Mishmar came out on that week. It has nothing to do with the regular. The Mishnah ended off again and again, that Mishmar does everything. What is that coming to say? We said already everything. The word Kayitz HaMizbech is referring to if it's a nidvas tzibur, it's a voluntary korban that the tzibur brings. And Rashi says when they bought a regular korbanos and the mizbech is not being used, nobody's bringing korbanos, so there's a korbanos that is called Kayitz HaMizbech. Rashi says the word Kayitz has to do with like figs, and that's like a dessert. The dessert for the mizbech, Rashi says like the same way you eat figs for dessert. So it's considered an extra korban for the mizbech. And Rashi brings down whenever it says Yipsul in the Dava, sometimes there are sfekis, all kind of things that it goes to the Dava. We had the Mishnah in Shkolim that the Shishal in the Dava, there were 6 shofarot, 6 kupot that were designated for Nidvas Tibor, and who would bring that? If for any reason they bring these karbanos during the Chag, usually the Chag wasn't empty, they had plenty of karbanos the whole time. But if any reason they bring the extra karbanos on the Chag, also that was the issue of the Mishmar, so Zman Kavua. It doesn't go to all the Kohanim, it goes to the Kohanim of that Mishmar.
The word the tuye is
To include.
It's in the pasuk.
No, it's Aramaic. It means to include.
No, it means
La suye man, to include what? To bring. La suye, to bring. Okay, this is the next Mishnah. So far we have the Lechem Apanim that comes out on Shabbos. If Shabbos Yontif, if came out Yontif on Shabbos, or Yontif during the Chag, during the 7 days of the Chag, the 8 days of the Chag came out on Shabbos, so that Shabbos, everyone has the right to Lechem Apanim. Now the Mishnah says a bigger Chiddush. Yontif HaSamach LeShabbos. If it's not on Shabbos, but it's 1 day off, the Yontif is right next to Shabbos. It's going to be either Friday, Yontif is Friday or Sunday. Both Friday or Sunday. Not only do all the Mishmars have right to get the Lechem upon him if it comes out Yontif on Shabbos, even if Shabbos is 1 day off of Yontif, also everybody has a right to get it. The Gemara is going to explain that it means that if Yontif was over on Friday, the last day of Yontif was Friday, and they go straight into a Shabbos, or if Shabbos was Erev Yontif, so the first day of Yontif was Sunday, and Shabbos Yontif was right next to each other, since it's adjacent to the Chag, so everyone also has a right to have Lechem upon him. I don't understand why. Why should that be a reason?
There anyway.
So
Isn't
they
it because they were going to stay over because of Shabbos?
Okay, so they're staying over. So everyone has a house. All the Israelim have food to eat. It's not like they're missing any kind of food. So why is that a reason why they should be eligible to Lechem upon him?
Maybe they were the whole week. They didn't have a way to get connections.
Everyone has the Levium are doing fine. The Israelim are doing fine. Everyone has food. That's not a problem of having food. It's not a lot to give them food.
They're working the whole week.
No,
So-
for
so
the, I
everyone
thought for
has-
the honor of the Shabbos, they're not going to go back. They're a Mishmar and they're
It's
not
good. They're
going
not
to
going
leave.
back. What does that have to do with eating Lechem upon him? They're not going back. So what? They need food. They said they need an open kitchen.
Well, it's not for the food. It's for the kavod of the.
Yes. What does
Of
that
the
have to
eating
do with
of
them?
Lechem
It's
upon him.
not that- They finished the Chag. They finished, and now till during the Chag they had rights to get the Lechem upon him of that Shabbos, a special pasuk. And now we're saying that if it's adjacent, also have the rights to it. I don't understand
It
why.
could also be to their honor, like if let's say they're eligible the whole chag. I see the guy who's doing he's shechting my carbon for me. The next day he's just like me.
Yeah, it is. Why
It's a
not?
joke.
It's not a joke. It's during the Chag he has rights, and then after the Chag is over. So I don't really understand. I'm not asking a kasha. I'm not saying I don't understand. If everybody understands, it's fine. I'm not trying to push on it, but I don't understand. I don't. Rashi says they can't come home, or they have to come a day earlier. If they come out Yontif came out on Sunday, they have to come early. If they came out Yontif on Friday, they can't go home. I don't see the. I don't see the issue of the cover of the. I don't see it. I don't see the problem. Like Yontif is over, so now it's Shabbos. Why is it? I think there's something doing here. I don't know what it is, but I'm just around. Okay, so he's not a regular guy.
So the
He's not a regular
argument
guy. He's a
of-
Kohen. That it's not his shift this week. He has shift in another 2 weeks, another 10 weeks. It's his. What's the shift? This is my shift. What do you want from my? What do you want from my Lechem upon him? It's my week this week. I don't get it. I just don't understand. I'm not saying any cash. I'm just saying I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay. I don't understand that either.
Rabbi said that when they said that the Kohanim are representing, or
I still
so
don't get it.
Hashem wants to temper that meter by giving every opportunity to be a little bit.
I still don't get it. Okay. The Mishnah continues that if it's not mamish adjacent, but it's pretty close, it's not. If the Yontif is over on Thursday, So it's not adjacent. It's one day off. Yom Tov is over Thursday. Bikaron day, there's a Friday that's all over, but it's still close to Shabbos. Or if Yom Tov starts on Monday, so the Yom Tov is starting on Monday, they can come Sunday, but it's tight squeeze to leave on Friday or to come on Sunday. So therefore, we're not going to give them full rights to the Lechem Apanim, but they get something. If it's one day in between, and the Yom Tov is over Thursday or it starts on Monday, so we don't give them equal rights, but the regular Mishmar is going to get 10 out of the 12. But the Misake, the one who's staying around, either came earlier or staying later, they get 2. And all the Misake means one who stays a little bit later, which will probably mean the case where they're Thursday case, Yom Tov's up on a Thursday, so the Misake, they still held back, they didn't go. Or the one who came earlier, you call it like the Makdim, the one who came earlier because Yom Tov starts Monday and they came ready on Shabbos, they could have come Sunday. So, but they did that, but it's understandable why they came. So then they also have a right to 2. So all the other Mishmaros get 2, the regular Mishmar gets 10 out of 12. That's even a bigger chiddush. That they have no reason. It's not connected at all to the Chag. It's a little bit connected because there's only one day in between. I don't understand it, but then they have a right at least 2. That's what happens on the Chag. We spoke about this, the Lechem Apanim division of Shabbos, which comes out during the Chag, and even if it's adjacent, and if it's one day off, so then they get 2 out of 10. Now we go on to a regular Shabbos. Now we're finished with Yom Tov, a regular Shabbos. Shayim Rosh Hashanah during the regular year. So you only have the Mishmar of that week. But as Chaim David mentioned before, the change of the guard is on Shabbos. Each week is another shift. The change of the shift is on Shabbos, and they have the leaving shift. It means every Shabbos is the last day of the previous shift and the first day of the incoming shift. How do they get the Lechem Apanim? They divide it equally. They have 12 breads, and the incoming one gets 6, and the outgoing one gets 6. No, the incoming one gets more. So instead of being 6 and 6, it's 7 and 5. And the Gemara is going to say why. Just to point out that our Gemara doesn't discuss at all about the Kohen Gadol. And we had a Gemara in Yuma that says the Kohen Gadol has the right to half. So our Gemara is not discussing that at all. Our Gemara just discusses about the Chagim and also the incoming and the outgoing. And it doesn't talk about the Kohen Gadol. But just remember, there's a din in Yuma where it says the Kohen Gadol has the right to half. But we're going to ignore that now. Here it says the Kohen Gadol has the right to half of the Lechem Apanim. Here it says, Anichnasin Cholkin with Sofan by Yosim Adorim. Right, and over there it says that's the Sugi we're talking about. And it said it gets hand. Not only first, but it gets hand. Here it says, Anichnasin Cholkin with Sofan by Yosim Adorim. When they're dividing the Lechem Apanim, they're portioning the Lechem Apanim, and we're saying that both the incoming and the outcoming shifts of a regular week, they both get a right to it, half and half or 7 and 5. So the incoming shift, they give out their Lechem Apanim in the north of the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, and the outgoing shift, they give out their Lechem Apanim on the southern side. Okay, the word means divide. The word means to divide. So how do you divide? Okay, so there are those that are receiving, but they're dividing. So the north side of the courtyard is considered the more chashuv one, and that's why we give it to the ones who are nechnasim. The nechnasim, the incoming shift is more chashuv, and therefore they're going to get the chashuv side of the courtyard, and the outgoing is on the south. But then the Mishnah ends off that there's one exception, and that's the Mishmar called Bilga. If you look in Divrei Yomim, over there, chapter 24, it has the names of all the 24 Mishmaros. Most of them are not familiar, you never heard of them. But over there, it has the list of all, Rashi Yadani, Yoriv, Yedaya, Chorim. And you go over there, you say all kind of 24 names. And Bilga over there is number 15. One of the Mishmaros of the 24 Mishmaros of the Kuna, the name is Bilga. So that's an exception, and they are penalized. They always, what?
Why?
It's going to be the Gemara, why they were penalized. But they always, even when they're coming in, even incoming, and they're supposed to usually be on the cell phone, but they do it in the south. And the mail just comes out that the Mishmar that's before them that's leaving is going to do it on the north also. They do it always on the north because Bill was always doing it on the south. Doesn't say why. Also about the Kavua, the ring is set, is closed. So what's the ring? So Rashi says, and most of the pictures always bring down Rashi, that they had 24 rings, that it says openly. And what were the rings for? So Rashi says that when they would shecht an animal, the shecht kavanas, so they would lock its head into the ring in order that it should hold steady, and then in order to be able to shecht it. So it was a kind of ring that you could open up and close. They would open it up, put the animal's head in, and then close it. Rabbi Hanan says altogether different. The people are not familiar with the Strad. It's a very interesting shot. He says that it was an order, there's pretty muchar, a very, very big proof. The Gemara says that there was an order to make the animal fall down. To fool the animal, you have to turn it over. So a sheep and a goat is not difficult, but an ox is not easy. Not easy to make a ox turn over. You don't just tell them sit or something like that. How do you do it? So you go to the slaughterhouse, you see how they do it. They have big cranes, and it's a big issue how to do it. So in the Beis Hamikdash, they also have to do it. So if they would just tie chains to the feet and pull, the ox would either walk around with you, walk with you. Like you have to have something that should stop. So they put the ropes, they put chains around the legs of the animal, and they pulled it through this ring, and then they would start pulling, and the animal will slowly have to lie down, and that's the way they got the animal to lie down, and that was the purpose of it. It's pretty muchach. The Gemara Sota says that the reason why he did it, I think Yochanan Kohen Gadol is the one who instituted it, because they used to have other ways of doing it which weren't so kosher. They used to bang it on the head, or they used to
make a tray.
then the Gemara says, even though it looks like a tray for us, it might be a tray for the Krum Shal Moach, or they would make it bleed in a way that the blood would go into their eyes, and then it would get Mubal would lie down. So he said, what are you doing? Making mum b'kachim, or it looks like a mum. It's not nice to do that. So he made these tabos. So it says openly that the purpose of the tabos was to lie the animal down. According to Rashi, it's only after you have him down already, then you just lock him in the head. It doesn't say how to get him down. So Reinach Hananel seems to be very supported by the Gemara over there. And the last thing is Halona Stuma. The window is closed.
Excuse me, I have a question on the Lechem Panim, on the Shulchan.
Yes.
Can I show a picture?
I just finished the Mishnah.
Yeah, what's
Okay, finish the Mishnah.
Alona Stuma means that the window is the closet is closed. The closet was either used for the knives. Each mishmar had a closet to put their knives in, or some say to put their clothing in, the bidei kuna, and each mishmar had their own closets. But the bilga, they closed up the closet, they had to borrow somebody else's. So both the three things, three penalties. One was that even when they come in the beginning of the mishmar, they have to divide in the south, not the north, and they don't have their own tabas. All the mishmars are 24, but theirs was locked, and that was somebody else's. And also their closet, either for the knives or for the clothing, also was closed. They had to use somebody else's. Yes, please.
Okay, so I have a picture here of the Shulchan with the Lechem Panim, and as I understand it, the length of the Shulchan is east and west, right? This is like, I don't know if this is the Parochis or whatever this is here, but it's like east and west. So north and south, like the side we're on looking is the side of the ramp of the Mizbeach. This is the southern side, and the back side would be the northern side. I thought that they were, when they took the lechem off, I don't know if they're going to the left or the right here, but I thought they were doing it lengthwise. So what does it mean that they got it from the south or they got it from the north?
No. The picture, I don't know what they put the picture over here for. This is a picture of the shulchan that's inside the.
They didn't. This is a picture I found. I don't think they put it.
No, so nothing to do with our subject. This picture is in the Beis Hamikdash, inside
in the Heichal. This is in the Heichal.
And we're not talking about that. We're talking about when they take the bread out, they're already outside in the courtyard, and they're giving it out to the Kohanim. So there's the north and the south. They're just giving out. There's a Kohen there, the Gabbai, that's giving out pieces of the Lechem Panim to the Kohanim. So the incoming shift gets it on the north of the courtyard, and the outgoing shift.
The courtyard, anywhere there in the.
Yeah, nothing. It's off the table already, and nothing to do with it. It's a courtyard, not in the Beis Hamikdash.
Thank you. Okay.
The Gemara continues. We'll be going over this a little bit, but last day we could. The Gemara continues. First, the Gemara explains what does it mean, this thing about Milfaneh Malachri. It says if it's one day, if it's adjacent to the Chag, either before or after. What does it mean that it's before or after? So the Gemara just explain a simple thing, that it doesn't mean that the first day of Yom Tov is Friday. If the first day of Yom Tov is Friday, so Shabbos is in the middle of Yom Tov. Or if the last day of Yom Tov is Sunday, so Shabbos was in the middle of the Yom Tov. It means if the last day of Yom Tov is Friday or the first day of Yom Tov is Sunday, that's what the Mishnah means. It's simple. What does it mean before and after? That means Yom Tov Rishon. The first day of Yom Tov was on a Friday, and Lachre means Yom Tov Achron, and the last day of Yom Tov was on a Sunday. So that's not different than the Mishnah before. That's the same place as the Mishnah before, that it came on Shabbos during the Chag. If the first day of Yom Tov is on a Friday, so the second day of Yom Tov is Shabbos, so that's the middle of the Chag. There's no special Mishnah about that. The Mishnah wouldn't make a new case. The Mishnah earlier said that Shabbos B'soch Chag, everybody gets Lachem upon it. The finish of the Mishnah is that it's adjacent. Elul Lefaneh means Yom Tov Achron, and Lachre means Yom Tov Rishon. If Yom Tov, the last day of Yom Tov came on a Friday, the last day of Yom Tov is a Friday. That means Yom Shabbos, Yom Tov is over. Or the Lachre means Yom Tov Rishon, that the first day of Yom Tov was on a Sunday. So then Yom Tov didn't start yet. That's what the Mishnah means to say. That even though the Mishnah before is talking about when Shabbos was during the Yom Tov, and now it's talking about that Shabbos is adjacent to the Yom Tov. Either it's after the last day or it's before the first day. my timer. And how come they get anything? How come they get any lechem upon him? It's not yantiv anymore. Since they have to come early, or they have to come stay late. Literally, the words means Rabbanan enacted something in order they should eat all together. So I don't know what the words mean. But anybody can tell me a shot. The Rabbanan enacted something in order they should eat all together.
All the Kohanim should get together as one.
Why should they get together all as
Again,
one?
I
don't
trying
understand.
to thinking it through that they should be the Achdus for Kahuna.
Okay, I don't know what it means.
They're a special clan. They're special.
They've been together for the whole Yantif. Well, they're going to be together all 7 days.
They're
That's why.
together. They're eating from the same.
They have some of the karbanas of the Yantif. They're there for 7 days eating all the karbanas. I don't see. And sometimes someone told me
family oriented. This is tribal oriented.
we're talking about the Kohanim. We're talking
It
about all
keeps
the
the shalom. It definitely keeps the shalom.
I don't
'Cause
see
if
why.
one day,
Okay.
if one day this guy next to me can't have it and I can have it, it's just.
What?
The-
It's his shift. In your shift, I can't get, and in my shift, you can't get. What does that do? That's
Does
what
it
the
have to
shift.
do with the kind of?
During my shift.
What is that,
the-
Yaakov?
Does it have something to do with the proclivities of Kohanim and the way they are, that they're easily
I don't know. I have no
angered
idea.
or something? They're easily angered, and this way they.
I have no idea. Everyone's invited by the Siyam to say a pshat. That's the word. Someone told the word seemed to mean they should eat all together. Someone told me it means they should eat equally. That just means equally, but it still doesn't explain. And the Gemara's not coming to explain why they're doing it, but just that they eat all equally. But I still don't know why. I don't understand why. Everybody's welcome. You have a couple of minutes between.
Everybody's saying that in every other shift they're not equal, but in every other shift you're not having every other Kohanic family in your face. Like you're in
Everyone
their
came-
house
everyone-
in Syria, which is fine.
Everyone came to the Chag, so they came for the Chag.
I
Now the
know,
Chag is
that's
over.
why we need to split it because he can get sour because he's with me.
Why should he get
During
sour?
my-
It's not his
during
shift.
his shift. I'm in my own town, so it's fine.
Okay, I don't get it. I'm
That's
sorry.
Rebbe, the Peshat that you're saying means not at the same time, but quantity equally. That's what you were saying?
No, I didn't say anything. I just said that the Gemara says that when it comes out adjacent to the Chag, everyone has a right to get Lachem upon him.
Okay, but I'm interested in the Peshat. You were trying to say a Chiddush that the word Hadadi means
Exactly.
equally.
Yeah.
I understood to be simultaneously. That's Zman.
Okay.
Are you saying it's not Zman, but it's
No.
qualitatively?
The word Hadidadi would mean together. The word does mean together. Someone was trying to be matrik that it means the same amount. But what is the issue of eating together? I'm not sure what it means. Eat together. Again, everyone's invited by the Siyam. A couple of hours now. Everyone could try to think. The Gemara says on the Amud Beis, the Gemara is not referring. The Gemara is referring. We're skipping a little bit in the Mishnah. It's not so clear when the opening statement that it says in the bottom Chol Yomecha. It's not going on that. It's going on the machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan on a regular Shabbos. They divide the incoming shift and the outgoing shift. Do you give 6 and 6, or do you give 7 and 5? That's what the Gemara is referring to.
7 is the incomings and the 5
Yes,
is the.
That's Rabbi Yehuda. Tanakama says 6 and 6. Rabbi Yehuda says that the incoming shift gets that the incoming shift gets 7. And the Gemara wants to know why. Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that for? Why should they get 2 more? In the reward of closing the doors. That means that in the morning, the outgoing shift still opened up the doors, and they didn't close the doors. It's like someone goes out the door and leaves the door open. You open up the door in Kodesh and left it open. You open it up, you have to close it. So here they open up the doors and didn't close it. The outgoing shift, the incoming shift is going to close the doors at night. So we're closing the doors that you opened. So you did a half an avoda. We have to finish off your avoda. So therefore they're entitled to some extra. So the outgoing shift, they give one of their breads. It should have been 6 and 6. They give one of their breads to the incoming shift to say that you're going to close the doors that we opened. The name will lay dal b'dal. Why don't they say take away this, take away that? Dal b'dal, like a minus for a minus means you why not tell the shift, listen, when you're going to leave next week, you're also going to leave doors open. Now you're saying I'm going to close your doors, so give me something special. And then when you're going to next week, you're going to leave the doors open, and you're going to have to give to the next shift. So why not make it equal already? Every week, everyone should get 6 and 6, and you close our doors, and someone else will close your doors. The Gemara says, as they say, one in the basket is better than 2 in the bush. That's how it goes. I got it right. One in the basket is better than 2 in the bush. Butzina Dav Mikra is the same mushal, but it's not the bag in the bush. It means Butzina is a small gourd, a small squash, a small pumpkin, and if you leave it to grow, it's going to get bigger. So you have a choice. Can I eat it now, a small one, or wait that it should get bigger and eat a big one? So we tell them, you have it now. Now it's here. Take it now. Don't wait for the big investment. Then you're going to get a bigger one. Who knows what's going to happen? It's not going to be there. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So better now one than to wait for tomorrow. They have the psychology thing. They did with the kids. You want one candy now or two candies in an hour? So they say the chachma is to wait for 2 hours. But here the Gemara says no. The chachma is taking right away because you don't know what's going to happen.
That's the Social Security. You collect at 62 less.
Uh-huh.
The more you wait,
Uh-huh.
then you get higher things.
Okay, so the Gemara says sometimes at least, and sometimes there's an aspect to say that take it now because you don't know what's going to happen later. You don't know what's going to happen later. Okay. But anyway, the Gemara says that since right now I'm eligible, the incoming shift is eligible to get more, so they're not going to make deals and say, I'll take less and later on I'll get more. Leave it like this. And that's what Rabbi Yehuda holds. We don't pass like Rabbi Yehuda, pass like to Rabbanan, that it's always 6 and 6, not like 7 and 5. New Gemara. I'm Rabbi Yehuda. I'm Rabbi Yehuda. Musaf and Cholkin. The Musaf, the Korban Musaf. We mentioned on Shabbos that it's a changing of the guard and the outgoing shift is finishing off and the incoming shift is going to do in the afternoon. So the Korban Musaf, who does the Korban Musaf? On Shabbos, that's the changing of the guard. Who does the Korban Musaf? There's still the outgoing shift. The outgoing shift still does the Korban Musaf. But Rabbi Yehuda says that as far as dividing the Korban Musaf, means what do you divide? There's nothing to divide. There's no meat. It's a Korban Ola. But you divide the skins, the hides. The hide of the Korban Musaf, who gets that? So Rabbi Yehuda says that they divided. Even the incoming shift has a right to get a chelik of the hides of the Korban Musaf. There was a kasha on that. Neisvei, Mishmar Ad Yotzei Sel says Tamish Shal Shachar Musafin. Mishmar Nichneses also Tamish Shal Ben Abayim Mubazichin. Here it's talking about on Shabbos, the changing of the guard. So the outgoing shift still finishes off, does the Korban Tamish Shal Shachar, the morning Korban Tamid, also the Musaf. The outgoing shift still does the Musaf. The incoming shift, they're going to take over and do the afternoon Korban Tamid. And also the Bazichin, that's the Bazichin is the lavona that you put on the Mizbeach from the Shulchan, and that's matir to eat the Lachem upon it. So that avoda is designated for the incoming shift. But that's the end of the brisa. It says that the incoming shift does the Musaf, the outgoing shift does the Mizichin, let's say, and the Tamid Shal Shachar is for the morning, and Tamid Shal Ben Abayim is in the afternoon. But it doesn't say what you say. Ilu Musaf and Cholkin Lokatani. It doesn't say that they divide the skins of the Lachem of the Korban Musaf. Why doesn't it say it? The fact that it doesn't say it, it sounds like they get that the morning shift gets the Musaf and the skins also. It doesn't say that they only do the avoda but they don't get the skins. Isn't that a kasha on Rabbi Yehuda? But the bar is not impressed. The Tana is not talking about dividing. It's just talking about doing the avoda. It's not talking about what they get. So therefore, he can't be right. He doesn't say anything. But now the Gemara does bring a brisa that's going to be a disproof to Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rava b'hatan de Shmuel the Mari b'chaluka u'musaf l'cholkan lokatani. I'll bring a brisa that does talk about the division, not only the avoda. It talks about also apportioning the skins or the food. And it does not say your point that the Korban Musaf, the hides of the Korban Musaf are divided between the incoming and the outgoing. And therefore it's a proof against you. The Tana division, well, a very similar brisa, but it has a little bit extra. It says, Mishmar Yotzei Sosa Tamish Shachar Musafin, Mishmar Nechneses Sosa Tamish Ben Abayim Mubazichin. So far it's the same, that the outgoing shift, they do still the morning Korban Tamid and the Korban Musaf, that's we knew. The avodah of the Korban Musaf they do. The incoming shift, they're going to do Tamish Ben Abayim and also the mark of the Bazichin on the Mizbeach. But now it talks about the lechem upon him. Arba kohanim mayachas sham. Shnai mishmish mazu, shnai mishmish mazu. V'chokam lechem upon him. 4 kohanim come in when they're taking out the lechem upon him. 2 from the old mishmar, 2 from the new mishmar, and they divide the lechem upon him. So it says chokam lechem upon him. Here the brisa is talking about not only the avodah, it's talking about the dividing it also, and it doesn't say anything. We'll end the brisa. It doesn't say that the musafin also they divide, that they divide the hides of the korban musaf. It doesn't say that they divide the skins of the korban musaf. So he's disproven, and it's not true. And the morning shift, they finish doing the Korban Musaf and they get the hides also. The afternoon shift, the new incoming shift doesn't get the right to keep the hides of the Korban Musaf.
Because they're going away, the outgoing ones, they're leaving, so
they didn't do the Musaf. The morning one did the Musaf, so they're the ones who get the skins of the Korban Musaf. And it says as a regular basis, the incoming shift divides their lechem upon him on the northern side of the courtyard, and the outgoing shift they divide their lechem upon him in the south side of the courtyard.
Sorry, in terms of only the Gehanim that worked on the Korban Musaf gets
Not the ones who actually did it, the ones who are kosher, ones who have a right to do it. The Pashto and the Pasuk would sound like you. The Pashto says one of those avoda gets it, but the Gemara says not like that. That whoever's kosher to do the avoda has a right to get the skins. So they divided it to the whole mishmar. They divided it amongst the whole mishmar. The skins, yeah.
So obviously the monetary.
Or they get a piece of cloth and they can make a mezuzah, whatever, as much as they have.
But I mean, the incoming ones, they got a whole week there. Were they going to let their skin sit and stink out there?
No, that Lishka's based upon, they had salt over there. They made that.
They salted it.
They salted it. They salted it. That says how you preserve it. Tana Rabbana. הנכנס נחלקים בצפון כדי שיהיו שהם נכנסים, היוצאים נחלקים בדרום כדי שיהיו שהם יוצאים. Rashi seems to say that the northern part of the courtyard is more chashuv. We know that the carbon Kachi Kadashim was only in the Safwan. So it says that that's the way that they should see. I don't know who should see. They should be seen that they're the ones who are coming in, and the outgoing ship, they divide in the south to see that they are the outgoing ship. So we said that Bilga was one of the Mishmars, the 15th one, and they were penalized that they always have to divide in the south, even when they're coming in. Tana Abanan, what's it based on? This is the story, that the reason why they were penalized. Maisa Miriam Bas Bilga. She was her name was Miriam, and she was from that Mishmar. Shemira Dasa. Shemira Dasa is a very polite way to say that she was mishtamed. She was shumah. She went. Shemira Dasa is literally means she converted her religion. That's a very polite way to say it. That's really a censorship. The censor changed it to Emira Dasa. The word mummer always in the Gemara is always really a censorship. It's not the really way he used to say. He used to say mishtamed, mishumah. I'm not sure what that word means, but it sounds like shema. It sounds like destruction. She changed. She went off. We say now converted, but she went off, and she became like I said. She went with the Yevanim. She went with the Hellenizers. She went with the Yevanim. She went and she got married to an officer of the Greek kings. When the Greeks came into the Heichal, Rashi says at the times of the Chashmonaim, she was kicking with her sandal on the Mizbeach. Wolf, like the wolf that eats. So till when do you destroy the money of the Jews and you don't stand up to them when they're in trouble? Means that they bring korbanos and you don't help them. So she was involved in the Mizbeach. When the Chama heard that, what she said, they made all these penal penalties on the whole Mishmar because of what she said. That they closed the ring, we said, and they still closed their closet. Also, we said about Chalekes Bedorim. That's one version of the problem of the Mishmar, because there was a woman over there, Miriam. The Yeshomrim, some say a different problem. Mishmar that one time the whole Mishmar didn't come. They're supposed to come on that week. They didn't come. Yeshevav was the name of the 14th Mishmar, and they were there the week before, and they're supposed to be the changing of the guard, and the change didn't come. So they stayed on. They stayed on for Shabbos, and they did avodah even though Bilga was supposed to come. Because of that, they penalized the whole Mishmar because they didn't come.
Rebbe,
Yes.
there is those who ask on the first Peshat, why didn't they make the Kanas if the whole word is Chinuk, that she heard it from her family? Why didn't they make the Kanas when she was Ha'amira Data? And why did they wait till afterwards when the mice of the Yevanim? And the teretz is that
we didn't see enough. You're ahead of us a little bit. We didn't see.
Okay, I'll wait.
And the Gemara continues. Usually the neighbors of the wicked don't get benefit, like we're going to see soon. Usually it's bad to be the neighbor of a wicked man. But the neighbors of Bilga do gain. Why is that? Because Yeshevav, who's the 14th Mishmar, since Bilga always they divide in the south, even when they're coming in. So the outgoing shift of that week, the partner, not the partner, the joining Mishmar, the outgoing Mishmar, they're going to always be dividing in the north, even when they're leaving.
Right.
So they're gaining. So they're gaining on Bilga's loss. Just to point out that it's not just coincidental. It happens to be because it says a second ago that they were the ones who continued working even when Bilga didn't come. So it's not for nothing. You pointed out, see, they got a reward because they took over for the Mishpah that didn't come. But anyway, even according to the other version, that's because of Miriam Bas Bilga. Also, the neighbors of Bilga gained the Mishmar called Yeshevav. Just to point out, it's in the Slicha sometimes. People say Yeshevav. It's not Yeshevav, it's Yeshevav. That's the pasuk says, or Yeshevav. So Shchene Bilga and Isaku, Bilga Lodom Chalakis V'Dom, Yeshevav V'Achim V'Tzafon. So Master Kasha. Bishlam, there were two versions over here. What was wrong with Bilga? Either because there was a woman that was Apikoros and a chutzpah, or because the whole Mishmar didn't come one time.
Is the Yeshiva his neighbor?
It's a name. Yeshiva is the name. There's a name. Bilga is a name. Yeshiva. If you look in Divrei Yom in paragraph 24, you'll see all 24 names. Bishlam Lamand Yom Mishmar Teshah Lavo. If the whole Mishmar didn't come on time, I knew they can't see now. L'kol mishma. That's understandable. That one gets a penalty because the whole mishma wasn't good. If it was only this Miriam, so then even the father shouldn't deserve any penalty. The daughter was bad. What does that do with the father? The Gemara says no. Yes. That's how the expression goes, that the talk of a child in the market is either from the father or from the mother. We could add on a little bit nowadays, or from wherever he got it from. Nowadays, there are other places to get it from either. Also, there are other channels that they're open to. So it means he heard it from somebody. He heard it from somebody. Where did he get it from? So a regular family, that the children are in the family. So he heard something in this family, either his father or his mother. The word shusa means talk. The talk of the child in the shuk, either from his father or from his mother. So if this woman says such kind of words about the mizbech, it must have been she heard from her father that he was also mezazal in the avoda, and therefore the mishmar was penalized. But still, the Gemara says, okay, so it's only the daughter and the father, the whole mishmar. Because the father and the mother, so we're going to penalize the whole mishmar. Go to the Russia, go to the neighbor. So if the head of the mishmar is no good, so it's coming a penalty to the whole mishmar. And just to end off on a good note, the Gemara ends off, Tov l'tzadik, Tov l'shcheino. Good for the tzaddik, good for his neighbor also. Shenemar, imul tzaddik kitov, say, or here the word imru might mean also to extol the tzaddik because he is good, because he's going, or it's going to be good for him, because he's going, they are going to eat the fruit of his deed, of their deeds. So here what the Gemara's diak is that it says tzaddik. It doesn't say tzaddikim. It says in the singular, and then it says that they are yochelu. They are going to eat the fruit. Who's they? It means not only he's going to eat the fruit of his righteousness. They are going to eat the fruit of his righteousness. It means that the neighbors also are going to benefit from the righteousness of the tzaddik. Adon Allah chacholdo stikla mesechah sukkah. Mazel tov everybody. It's a big accomplishment. Baruch Hashem, Hashem shalom. And everyone is joined to join together in the Siyam at 1:15 is Mincha and 1:30 is the Siyam, either or on Zoom. Yes, the Rabbi Manuel, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so I forget who said it. Rabbi Rosen brought it that there are those who ask, why didn't they penalize, if the whole board is chinuch here, so why didn't they penalize immediately when she was Hemira Data? And why did they wait until the Maiso later with the Yavani? And the teretz is that when she was Hamir Data, that is a personal Maisa. We don't punish a personal individual. We don't punish the Farhesi on the whole Shevet. But in the case where she went into the Hekal and did a Maisa the Farhesia, so that's already Chil Hashem, and that reflects on the whole Shevet. But interestingly enough, you mentioned, as other people do, that today, because of the internet, because of technology and everything, and friends, they say that psychologically, they say that now it's like at a very early age that the Iker Hashpa becomes the teacher immediately from the parent, and then it goes over from the teacher to the friends in the class. So it's now, we're really not in control at all. But in any event, it has to be a Achil Hashem and something to Parhesia to go and punish publicly the whole Shevet.
Yeshakov. Thank you. Okay, we'll take a minute or two. We'll be back. If it's okay with everybody, maybe we should start Hilchos Rosh Hashanah a little bit to be able to get into halachas a little bit, if that would be okay. If everybody agrees to that, so we'll be doing that in a couple of minutes. If anybody would go to wants the regular say that we can do that also. Whatever everybody would like to do, we'll be back in 2 minutes.